she's screaming because she's having fun? Does she just feel like screaming? Who knows what goes through a 4-year-old's mind?
Okay. I feel like that's just a metaphor for how I act in life, personally. So
I'm yelling, woo!
Is he upset? Does he know he's upset?
Right. Is he hungry?
Anything tangible in the area?
Usually for me, and I'm like, I'm feeling real grumpy right now. Meh. And I was like, when was the last time I ate? Oh, yeah, like 5 hours ago. Okay, all right.
I get that too sometimes.
Yeah.
I also get dizzy sometimes and lightheaded when I haven't eaten in a while, and I don't realize it. And it sucks because most of the time when I get to that point, I'm not hungry, so it's
You've gone too far.
Yeah. It's real nonsensical at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
Mina's off again this month. She's going to go get some of those good COVID shots. So obviously you want to go do that. Go get the shots if you can. So she'll be back and in fighting shape hopefully next month. Let's just start with what you've been playing this past month, Musum.
So before I get to the usual stuff, Sony had is having like a Japan sale or something like that.
Yeah, the Golden Week or something. Like it's like a Japanese focused games sale.
The thing they celebrated in Persona 3, 4, and did they do Golden Week in 5? I feel like they didn't do Golden Week in 5.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Anyway, so they had Dragon's Crown Pro for $5.
Oh yeah.
Susie and I were like, we want something to play. How about this thing?
Yeah.
So I downloaded that and was immediately reminded how like absurd the characters were.
Yep.
And some of the voice acting, like you go to buy an item and they have that woman. What can I do for you? Like,
yeah, and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah. Susie picked the Amazon because, of course, she did, and just is constantly screaming how her clothes are held on by magic. But
right.
we're like that's still a really good game. So
I
for one, Dragon's Crown Pro, you can download your old save game from the PS3 version, which I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I actually carried mine over from my Vita, and it just kind of worked. And I was like, that's wild.
Well, and we were too far in my game to get that one. I'm glad I got it, but I don't remember how to play the game. So
yeah.
we just started over, and I did a wizard who I don't think I'd spent much time with before, and she did the Amazon, and we're having a blast, man.
That game's great.
It's fun to just get there and punch things, and like all the skills I think for the wizard are kind of fun. Like I thought he'd be kind of a vanilla character, but as you level them up, you get skills that you can equip as items, which are all these really powerful, cool looking spells. Like I have a spell where I can take a broken thing from a wooden chest and make it into a little golem.
Right.
And like a lot of the level up skills for the wizard are all like regenerate mana based. So like pick up a coin and you regenerate health, or as you do damage to enemies, you'll regenerate mana, or I forgot the other one, but with the wizard specifically in mana, like you hold down a button to regenerate mana. So they have like a skill to speed that up.
Right.
It's just an interesting method to the beat 'em up that I don't know. I just had never played him before, and like it's always an internal debate about whether I can put up with the sorceress on screen. Like
right.
So there are two characters I just hadn't spent much time with before, but we kind of just played through the first few levels, and there's some archaic things in there. Like I had accepted a side quest, and we went and ran it, and it didn't clear for Susie because she also needed to go into the Adventurers Guild by herself and accept it.
Right.
So there's a little bit of weird stuff to get through, but it still was fun, and it was we were probably 2 levels in before we remembered that we were supposed to be moving that mouse icon across the screen to find random treasures and
Oh, that's right. I forgot because I played on Vita, and you could use the touchscreen for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a weird like they made some interesting choices that maybe weren't
yeah,
always the best, but they I don't know. I feel like they took a decent chance.
yeah. It's like
Like they
it's like a weird, cool, really good, kind of busted, fantastic beat 'em up that has way more in it than it seems. You kind of think that it's going to be like, oh, it's like the old Streets of Rage games, no big deal. And it's like, no, I got branching paths, optional bosses, a cooking mini game. It's got a whole bunch of different endings. Like it has a ton of stuff in it.
Yeah, I've been trying to remember how the heck you activate the runes in the level, and I assume I just got to get to a certain point in the game before it'll let us do that. But
Yeah, I think so. I think you like have to beat it maybe one or two times, and it's like find the hidden runes. It's just like, wait, where?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's I don't know. It's a cool game. It's
yeah,
and the fact that Susie's excited to play it with me is like a huge
yeah.
point in its favor. It's so hard to find couch co-op games anymore.
Right.
Like, and it's hard to find a game that both Susie and I want to play. So
Yeah. Have
it's
you guys played Streets of Rage 4?
we have not.
Okay, I think you might enjoy that. It is very good. I don't think it's in any way an RPG, so I apologize to our listeners. But Streets of Rage 4 is very, very good.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I played a Streets of Rage game. I never know where Susie's going to land on like a beat 'em up.
yeah,
Uh, this one she is enjoying a lot,
hmm
but I don't know. You never know.
yeah,
But I'll keep that on our radar then. And I'm hoping to, I pre-ordered Scott Pilgrim Physical Edition, so at some point we'll hopefully be able to play that too. But
yeah, yeah. I scooped up a copy of that too, and I don't know when it ships.
I feel like I saw an email that said soon for everyone else, but the edition you ordered. Um,
Okay, all right. Doesn't that figure?
I
Yeah.
got the big dumb stage version,
Oh
but
yeah, I wish I could have afforded that. That looked so cool.
I can't remember what happened. I think I had an overtime week or something at the time. It's money I probably should not have spent. I'm not
Yeah,
being a good
but it's money
example.
you had, and you're like, hell yeah, let's go. It lights up.
Yeah,
It plays an Anamanaguchi song. Let's do it.
yeah. I think I mainly bought it just as a Scott Pilgrim fan in general, rather than just
Right.
being in. I mean, that game's good. Like I just never
Yeah.
particularly got far in it before.
Yeah.
So the other two games, you can probably guess. Played more in Persona 5 Royale.
hmm
Royal. I don't know why I keep calling it Royale.
It's fancy.
Yeah. The I keep getting closer to the end of the first game, and I keep thinking, okay, so this is going to be the point where that X, Y, and Z happens, and it keeps not being that point, and there's something else. So
Oh, sure.
uh, I am in I think it's the second to last dungeon, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Um, the Shido's ship.
Mm.
It was. It isn't a great like set of dungeon missions,
Yeah.
but I don't like the mouse parts weren't as annoying as I remember them being.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know if that's just previous exposure to it, so I was ready for it, or something else. But
Yeah, maybe they shortened it or something.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
remember getting stuck on those parts a lot.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember too, like you turn into the mouse and then you leave one corridor and you sort of go into a large room and then it's like, oh, I actually need to sort of like loop back twice to get to this other area to do something to like backtrack three more rooms to go. And it's like I can see the path I need to take, but God, there's so much in this ship.
yeah, and it's still a big freaking castle.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I got through that, and I barely remember anything from this ending. I'm finding out like there's
Yeah.
so much stuff I've forgotten happens, and there's other stuff that's happened that I'm like, did that happen before, or is that new?
Right.
Um, And I'm, like the paranoia is starting to kick in too of, did I do everything I was supposed to activate the third semester?
Right. Did
Like,
I miss anything? Oh no.
I think it was just these three relationships I had to max out. Let's hope
Hmm.
so.
But did the internet lead me astray?
Man, I haven't Googled it in a minute, and I should.
But maybe you shouldn't though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would be a nightmare. Just find out. Like, I've only been using like one save file too,
Oh yeah.
so there's no backtracking.
Oh man.
I mean, I guess at that point it would be, well, I guess in half a year I'm going to come back and do a save game plus and just skip all the story stuff. But
Yeah, exactly.
um, it is nice though that you can, like, I assume Persona 5 Vanilla was like this too. Whether you have seen a scene or not, you can hit the fast forward button.
Okay. I don't remember that from the original, but probably. Atlas is usually pretty good with those.
Yeah. Right now, I think I have all but two relationships not maxed.
Nice.
So hopefully they let me max those out after the game because I'm at a point where I can't go back to daily life.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
we'll see where that lands. I'm also
Yeah.
curious how they're going to continue it in general, since like you're kind of shutting down the metaverse at the end of 5, I think, to a large degree, but
Hmm.
maybe
Yeah,
not.
I feel like that was kind of their challenge to figure out with Strikers, where it's like, well,
Yeah,
the the stuff we did in the first game doesn't really exist anymore. It's not really a spoiler for Persona 5. That's how most of the modern Persona games are, where it's like, all right, this stuff is really bad. We're gonna shut this whole thing down.
yeah,
Um, and I think they came up with a kind of a cool alternative, but yeah, that's a pretty definitive like Persona 3. It's a pretty definitive ending.
yeah. Man, I Persona 3 is the ultimate, like, oh, that ending. I like that ending. I like the how they did the close your eyes thing at the end, and I
Hmm.
interpreted it as him taking a nap. And
Right.
then they came out with the answer, and they're like, no,
Nope,
I
that
won't.
was not. That's not.
No.
That went a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, man. So then, of course, I also played a little bit of, I said a little bit, I played the most Epic 7.
Mm.
I've finally, gosh, they did a bunch of stuff in Epic 7. They had the Guilty Gear event that we were drawing on. I think last time I'd gotten Dizzy and Byakuo, and now I got
Hmm.
the other character, Elfit. I know I'm
Yes.
butchering
Who
people's
who
names.
who is a Guilty Gear character, by the way? I looked her up afterwards, and I was like, God, she sounds really familiar. And I looked at her, and I was like, Yep, that's a Guilty Gear lady.
Like, honestly, like I haven't spent any real money since I've started playing this game again, a half year
Hmm.
ago. Um, I really like I used all the resources my character had, but basically like every time you draw, you get those event points, and then you can spend the event points on just straight out buying a character that you didn't get.
Yeah,
Um,
because I had downloaded it when you mentioned the Guilty Gear event was back and Dizzy was back, and I was like, all right, I like Dizzy and Guilty Gear a lot. Like I played her a lot in Guilty Gear Double X, sorry, Double Zex. Um, but I fired it back up and I was like, cool, I don't have any materials for anything. Let's see what I have to do to pull Dizzy specifically, and that was outside of the realm of possibility. And it's like
uh,
that's okay. Like it's one of those things where it's like I'm not mad about it because I haven't been playing for a while. So it's one of those things where it's like I could pull with what materials I had, but I didn't have a lot, so I didn't really get anything. Which is if you're not
yeah,
going to put in money, that's sort of how it goes. And I'm okay with that.
yeah. I mean, when the event started, I had enough to, like, if they were doing a regular banner, like I would have had enough currency to pull that character had they maxed out the
Ah,
pulls of like
sure,
121. So, like,
right.
what I had to do is I spent all of those. I still didn't have enough for Elfit, but
Hmm.
the event was long enough that I could gather enough resources to pull enough again to afford her.
Gotcha. Right.
Um, so it was like Dizzy's probably one of the best characters in the game. Like, she
Hmm.
is, like, Arena was like pulling teeth for me before because I just could not, like, I have a lot of good characters. I could not get them to work together well enough to advance
Oh,
Arena.
sure. Sure.
And now I went from like being silver ranked to being let me think. I think it goes like silver, gold, and either masters or platinum or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the rank after gold. I finally got there this week,
Oh wow, nice.
which I'm excited about it. I'm also worried that it's going to make me hate the game again because I'm just going to constantly lose again.
Right.
Um, but I don't know. I part of my problem is I just don't have a good healer anymore. Like
Mm.
a year, 2 years ago, whenever we were all playing, Angelica was like the one to have, and
Mm-hmm.
now like she is terrible compared to like the buffs they've given the other ones. Like,
Oh sure. Yeah, I
um,
was looking at my party again. I was like, I have a pretty good healer. Like, I actually have a fairly solid party, and I was just kind of doing like some of the daily stuff and just sort of farting around. I was thinking like, I bet my party isn't anything near good anymore. Which again, it's fine because I haven't been playing for a while. But it's like I don't necessarily want to go back down that rabbit hole because I feel like when we were at this point, I like pushed a little bit further than I usually do, and I'm like, oh well, we'll do this like clan versus clan thing, and I'm like, well, this is no fun. All right, I don't
yeah,
want to do any of this stuff. So curious to see what the new hotness is.
yeah. I still do not enjoy the clan war stuff.
No, it's one of those things where it's like it's a cool idea, and I feel like if you have this open in like an Android emulator on your computer all day while you're working, like that it's probably a cool experience, but I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think once my life levels out and I feel comfortable, because for the audience, I'm in the middle of a move.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and once all that stuff is over and I've leveled out and I'm buying like, you know, TV playable games again,
Right, right. When
like
your
I
TV
could
is hooked back up.
I could see myself like kind of, pulling away from Epic 7 again. But
Yeah.
for the moment, I'm still enjoying it. It's an odd thing in that I am running out of non-Moonlight characters to pull and level up,
Mm. Okay.
which is kind of concerning for some of the daily stuff and like the monthly challenge stuff because they're all based on advancing these things. And it's like, man, am I
Right.
going to have to start grinding phantasmas? But uh,
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know. We'll see when we get there and how long it lasts. And I'm completely stuck on the story right now. Like I feel like I get unstuck and then I win like 3 or 4 battles and then I'm stuck again. So, um,
Speaking of the story, it was so funny because like one of the game was like, oh, you have all these characters that you can upgrade. I don't remember what they called the system, but it was essentially like there's all these challenges for each one of these characters to kind of promote them to like their better version.
oh, the specialty change.
Yes, that one. And there's a bunch that were like, "Oh, you've already done this stuff. Here you go," because it seemed like they had gotten a specialty change for some older characters. And one of them was like, "Clear this stage like Act 2, level 4-11." I was just like, how many acts are there now? And I'm just like scrolling through all this content, and
Yeah,
I was like, God, you guys keep adding. It's great, but you guys keep adding so much content to this
yeah.
game.
There's like, chapter one epilogue, which is kind of chapter one again with some additional story.
Right.
And then, chapter 2 and 3. I think 3 is what I'm on. Because I
Yeah,
think,
I think 3 is out now. It's just like, oh
yeah,
my, there's so much. Oh my
they've
God.
added like a sci-fi city in it, which is weird.
Yeah, yeah,
A lot of robot people walking around. Like this
yeah.
one I got, like, who's a really good character in Arena that I just don't have leveled up yet.
Mm,
And by leveled up, I mean I don't have a good set of gear, and I don't have her skills leveled up. She is
sure.
at 5 or 6 star, but anyway,
Mm.
like she basically summons a giant mech that shoots everyone. It's like,
Great, great. I love it.
yeah, it's anyway. I don't know. That's still a cool game. I feel like
Yeah.
as long as you have enough willpower not to just start throwing money at these gotcha games, I feel like it is still a shoe in for someone to try it out and kind of get a story and some cool art,
Yeah, and I feel like the thing that stops me, especially in Epic 7, is that the prices for the currency to pull characters, the prices for that seems really high. Like it's one of those things where like, oh, you need like, let's as an example, let's say like you need 1,000 of these things to pull for a 10 pull. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
let's see how much 1,000 is, and it's like $45. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like I'm not even. You could maybe get me for $10, but like $45 is just like what? No, what? No.
Yeah, they're priced for whales only. Like
Yeah,
the
100%.
like a lot of this, like the way I manage the paid currency is Arena. Once you get to I think silver, you start getting like several hundred every week from Arena.
Oh wow, okay.
Just from being that rank. Like I think you get like 300 or 400 now from where I'm at.
Wow, nice.
So that's like half of it right there to a
Right,
10
right.
pull. And you need on any given character banner, you have to pull 121 times to get that character.
Right, guaranteed. Yeah,
and-
that's their pity system.
Yeah, and that 10 pull is absolutely every bit of $45 to freaking buy if you wanted to go that route.
Yeah, and it's so nuts because it's just like it's wild because most games are like, oh, it's like 1,000 currency. Sorry, it's $10. LOL. And this game's like, no, man, it's like it's a full game. You have $45. You can do one pull. It's like that's so nuts.
They, I mean, the other thing I feel like that mitigates some of that, in which the reality is you got to pick one character every like 3 months that you're going to pull on. You know?
Exactly.
But the game itself, like every 3 or 4 months, they're going to do some weird sort of here's a bunch of free pulls. Like yesterday and today, they had like a free 10 pull.
Oh wow!
I got pure junk from both of them, but
sure,
I have gotten good characters from them before. Like
right,
I got a Moonlight character from one of them, which I didn't know was possible in the normal pull.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway,
Epic 7 is still really good. That's a cool game.
It is what it is. I blame no one for not touching it.
Yeah, like I feel like I haven't really run into a gacha game that I can say, like, if you're allergic to gacha games for some reason, like this is still the one to play. It's like, look, it's still a gacha game. Like it's not going to set the world on fire. Like I think it's probably one of the better ones that I've played, and it actually sort of counter to what I was just talking about like $45 for a 10 pull. It doesn't feel predatory. I mean, it is because you can still pay for pulls, but like it gives you as a casual play, as like a free to play player, so much currency just by playing the game that it genuinely doesn't feel like it has the handout being like, hey, if you want to keep up in PvP, if you want to keep up with your friends, it's $45 a pull. It genuinely doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that probably, sorry to keep dragging this out.
No, you're good.
That contributes to that, because I was thinking about this recently. Like, while the characters and their skills are good, like the reality is, I don't think the developers care whether you get the good character or not, because like the big grind and the big thing that separates paid players from non is equipment,
right?
And like your equipment is going to define how well your character does to a very, very large extent.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, anyway. Well, that is all I've been playing. So
I got bad news on my my side. It's one of those months where like I have been playing so many games for so many of the other shows that there haven't been any RPGs I've been playing right now. Like you and I 2 weeks ago talked about Life is Strange 2, which took way longer than I was expecting it to. Like How Long to Beat lied to us again, where it's like 15 hours. I'm like 25 hours in. I'm like, I still have like 2 episodes to go. What's going on here? We're playing Signs of the Sojourner right now, which is, I was expecting it to be a little bit of an RPG, but it really isn't. Returnal is out now. I've been playing a bunch of that. that's a roguelike. That's definitely not an RPG. We're playing Into the Breach on We Roguelike It, which is a little bit of an RPG, actually, because each one of your units can level up and equip skills, and you kind of have a cool skill unlocking system. But just one of those months where it's like, yeah, I'm playing pretty much everything else except for any RPGs at all, which is kind of how the chips fall every once in a while. Bless you.
Thank you.
But on that note, let's talk about the upcoming RPGs for May 2021. Dragon Quest Builders 2 comes to Xbox One on the 4th. That is Game Pass day and date, which is a pleasant surprise. I've already preloaded that on my Series X because I want to play these games and I just have never gotten around to them. I'm curious to... I don't really like creative crafting games because I'm not a creative person. So a lot of it is just like, why don't you go build a house? And my brain's just like, no, no thanks. I don't know how to do. Can you give me a blueprint or something? Like, can we do something with that? So I'm curious to see. A lot of people really like these games, and I'm curious to see where it kind of lands for me on. Is it a little bit too much freedom, or am I going to bounce off of it like with Minecraft or any of these other games where it's just like, go build a world, and I'm just like, no, I can't. No, thank you.
I feel like this was one of the ones that Mina liked a lot too.
Yes, yeah, I think she liked both of these. Yeah. Coming out next on the 14th, Famicom Detective Club, The Missing Heir, and the other game, The Girl Who Stands Behind. Come out. Both of them come out on the Switch on the 14th. So let me try and remember. I think they're like $35 a piece, but if you buy both of them together in a bundle, they're $60 together, so you can save $10 or whatever. The name on this is actually accurate. These are old Famicom games that they've kind of given a new coat of paint and remade. Contrary to how they look, they're more adventure games like something like Phoenix Wright than they are kind of traditional true visual novels. So kind of not entirely RPGs, but every once in a while we talk about something cool that maybe some other shows would miss. But both of those are coming out. Go support those if you want more cool adventure games coming up. Okay, and then we end up here with two huge releases for this month and probably for the year. First up, Mass Effect Legendary Edition comes out PC, PS4, Xbox One on the 14th. Also has Series X and S and PS5 compatibility out of the gate, so they won't need any sort of patches later on. Man, the more I keep seeing from this, the more that I continue to be really excited about not only the changes they've made for this, but kind of going back through and playing Mass Effect again. Especially with, they've been detailing some of the changes that kind of now extend across all three games, like the Ready at War system from the third one. The more stuff you do in 1 and 2 and 3 will increase your galactic readiness. There's a bunch of trophies that carry over across all three games. There's just a bunch of cool stuff that they did and kind of tweaked and updated all these games.
That's exciting. I didn't even think about that stupid phone app they did with 3. Gosh.
Yeah, it's like play the phone app or the multiplayer or do everything in 3. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll do the phone app. Yeah, so it's a kind of cool system that they said, like, yeah, the more side quests you do in all three games, the more your galactic readiness comes together. And I was like, man, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Like, you're doing all this stuff across all three games. That's a cool system. So I don't know. I haven't pre-ordered it or anything. Mostly because I'm still waiting for reviews on this one because I feel like there's still a possibility that it's going to come out and everyone's going to be like, yeah, it runs like crap. It's like, oh yeah, cool. But if it runs well and the changes they make across all the games aren't really they all kind of work, then yeah, I could maybe play the Mass Effect trilogy in. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
What
Still
else do I have
have.
going on?
I know they're never going to do a 4K version on Switch, but man, I hope they do some
Yeah,
version of this over on Switch.
it's still really weird that EA is like it's coming to all platforms, but of course not the Switch for any of our games for anything. Just like
Ugh.
okay, I'm not sure I will ever understand that, but sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. But next game is something that is coming to Switch, Shimagama Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remastered. Comes out
Woo!
PC, Switch, and PS4 on the 25th.
I'm just going to keep doing that.
Yeah. I have heard the Switch version does have some occasional performance issues. I heard it's not, the end of the world. But, the Switch is not the most powerful console in general, so that's not too surprising. But man, I never finished SMT3 when it came out originally, and I would sure like to kind of dive right back into a full proper SMT game again, because I played 4 and really liked it, and 5 is probably still a ways off. So
Yeah.
and God, Nocturne looks so good. Like, it still stylistically looks incredible.
It's I know I've just glowed about this game for years, and I always have
Hmm.
such a hard time because when I want to go back and play it, like I have two hindrances. One, it's on PS2, and two,
Right.
my PS3 died and ate my save game because I had the brilliant idea just to keep my save game on my PS3 and not a PS2 memory card.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so, and like I had the demonic compendium maxed out in it. So,
Oh wow.
um, but I'm ready to do it this time and hopefully be smarter. And I don't think like when it came out in Japan, like a lot of the fans of the original game were kind of down on it.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, it's just because they didn't add more quality of life features.
Oh, okay.
Or at least that's the impression I got. I may be wrong, and I guess everyone's kind of negative about them saying it includes Dante when it's paid DLC. Um,
Oh, sure, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
not great.
yeah, but this is not a game that's gonna be for everyone because it's such a dungeon crawler. But
And it's it,
like,
it like 4 and like all the other SMT games, it's difficult. Like, it's not Persona
yeah,
games are usually uh, uh, an easier experience. I'm not going to say they're easy, but they're sort of maybe a little bit more middle of the road on the difficulty. But the sort of mainline SMT games, those are difficult games. Like, you're not going to beat every boss the first time you run into them. You might have to try it a couple of times. Um, and the game's not going to be mean about it, but like you gotta figure out the strategy, and you gotta come prepared.
yeah, and it's not as nowhere near as story heavy as Persona. Like
No, yeah,
there's story and conversation there, but for the most part, you are a singular human character in a party with your summoned demons. So it'd be
yeah,
like in a Persona game if you were just one person and only had your personas in your party.
right.
Like, and then if you take a certain path, you may get Raido or Dante or something. But
Right.
I don't know. I'm excited for this to come out, and I'm
Hmm.
excited to, man, how do I say this? I'm excited for the people it reaches that enjoy it, and I
Yes.
completely understand everyone who's not going to like it because there's
Yep.
going to be a wave of that.
Yeah,
Um,
there's just gonna, especially with it coming out on Switch, there's gonna be a wave of. Not saying that people on Switch are uh, less open to difficult games, just that it will a lot more people will be able to play it.
yeah,
There's going to be a lot of people that get to Matador and they're like, "This game sucks," and it's like, yeah, I mean, I get it, but if you're going to bounce off of it, that's totally understandable, and
yeah,
that's where everybody bounces off.
all those fiend battles in that game are hard, and by fiend I mean all the skeleton face guys. Because
Hmm.
and I mainly know this from articles. I have not spent a significant amount of time with Shimagami Tensei 1 or 2.
Yeah, me neither.
Like maybe 20 minutes each,
Yeah.
and my understanding is they were supposed to be very rare run like encounters in those games and would often
Hmm.
party wipe you and give you good XP. And here, most of them are story encounters,
Yeah.
and there's a couple extras you have to seek out. And I think you get something special for fighting all of them. But they're
I think they
like,
did that in 4 too, where it's like if you beat all of the four horsemen who are like super super incredibly hard, you get like a special persona or something like that, where it's or like a compendium upgrade or something like that. But
gotcha.
yeah,
Well, and maybe that's what they do. I don't. It's been
yeah, I don't
20 years
remember.
since I played the game.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I look forward to it, and I sometimes I worry about this podcast, and then I'm like, am I just going to play re-releases of like the same dozen games?
well, if Atlas would just stop remaking games, at
Like it's going to be
least
next
do
year.
the
Guess
Rido
what?
games.
Here's the new version of Persona 3, where that we
Yeah, God,
combined everything in.
if they put Persona 3 or Persona 3 Portable on new consoles, like I'm done. I'm done for again. Like I will 100% play through. I love Persona 3 so much.
Yeah,
Man.
like I don't. My dream, my absolute dream of them re-releasing that is being like, we took the Persona 5 engine and recreated Persona 3 in it
Yep.
and brought everything from FES and P3P in it, and we did all
Yep.
the anime
We
cutscenes
fixed
with the female
Tartarus.
protagonist too, and
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, like this kind of like ultimate edition of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'll never happen. Or
No,
at least,
I feel like that's even too much money for Atlas
yeah,
to spend on Persona 3. They'll probably be like, yeah, we put out like Persona 3 Portable on Steam. It's like, okay, that's cool.
yeah. Maybe that is our best hope. Maybe in 10
Yeah.
years they'll consider it, but
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't hardly done anything with Persona 1 and 2. I mean, you released a remake on PSP and then like no one buys it because it's on PSP. Come on.
Right. Yeah, it's like a Persona 1 and 2 on PSP, and everyone's like, okay.
Yeah.
You got Persona 3 and 4 over there, which are really great games. It's like, yeah, 1 and 2 are good too, but I get
Yeah.
it.
Uh,
Yeah. All right, let's talk about news stories here. Wanted to call out just a couple things here. There's a game that got announced a while ago, but it finally has a release date here called Jin Conception. It's this kind of cool. It's this cool turn-based RPG. They bill it as a social deduction fantasy thriller turn-based JRPG. So I guess it sort of has elements of the werewolf game in it as well, and it's this kind of cool, like 8 people's stories are kind of blending across this giant JRPG world, and it's like a 3-person battle system. It is coming to PC and Switch in May. Has a really cool style with it, so I'm excited to try this out because it sounds like one of those. It sounds like one of those Square games that came out on the PS1, where it's like this looks pretty interesting, and it looks like they're trying a lot of really cool stuff, and most times that stuff worked out. So I'm curious to try this at the very least on Switch, just to say like you're throwing a lot of stuff in a pot here all at once, and I'm excited to see if it works or not.
yeah.
Next news story: Tales of Arise gets a final release date. It's going to be released worldwide on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X and S on September 10th, 2021. This got delayed a little bit because of COVID. Not too surprising there. But I don't believe it was originally going to come out on the current gen consoles for a little while, so they're just going to put it out on everything with the delay. We were having a good conversation in the Discord server recently about like when's the last time you played a Tales game, and I think mine was Tales of Zestiria, like really early in the PS4 era. So it's been like 8 years maybe since I played a Tales
Jeez.
game, and I'm looking at this and being like, yeah, man, all right. I could play another Tales game. Sure, let's maybe hop into Tales of Arise. I'm watching the battle system trailer and thinking like, yeah, all right, yeah, Tales games, those are good. Those are good games. And then trying to resist going back to playing Tales of Vesperia again because that's my favorite one. Um,
I still need to go back and finish that. Like I'm at the end. I got to the end and I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of new side quests.
Yeah, yeah. That last dungeon is pretty tough too. I remember that's memorable for me because I remember having a real hard time with that one. But a nice part about the remaster they did is they will let you kind of change the difficulty in pretty significant ways. So that's nice. And then last news story here, Moon Glow Bay, it was announced here recently, which they're calling a pretty chill fishing RPG. This I'm gonna call this out because this just looks cool. It's essentially you're going to this island to catalog all of the fish there, and you got a cool chill fishing RPG. And I feel like that's one of those games that I want to call out on the show for, like, yeah, man, here's a cool, different thing than we usually see.
Man, it looks like someone took that 3D dot game heroes and made
Yep.
like a Farmville game or something out of it.
Yeah, it
Except
has
fishing.
it has that same voxel sort of based art style on it. But yeah, it looks like it looks like a cool thing. I'm kind of interested in that when it comes out. I don't think there's a release date for that yet, but it sounds like it might be coming this year. So Moonglow Bay looks cool. Apparently, I'm having a hard time saying the game's name. But that's all of our stuff for this episode. Get you in and out fast this month. Sorry we didn't have anything more, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't play a lot of RPGs. You can visit us at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right hand side of the page, including a link to the Patreon page, patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. You can go get some cool early access behind the scenes stuff and help me pay for the shows. The recommended tier is $5 a month. That gets you everything. Anything above that is greatly appreciated. Musim, where can we find you online?
You can find the nexus of all my most of my musical endeavors at jvaudio.net. I realized recently I need to update my website because my old band is back together, and
Yeah.
you can find us at axis-band.com. So axis-band.com.
There you go.
And we've got 3 of our old albums out, and we're about to release like a B-sides and remixes album, and then I think we're aiming for July for the new EP.
Nice.
Which will have a wide variety of industrial style on it.
There you go. Exciting. And you can find Mina K.O. Rocket pretty much everywhere. And you can find all my stuff at e1m1.com. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Our adventure continues next month.
Bye.
And thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us live and watching the video. We'll see you next month. Bye.